काय तर माझ्या गाव येत नाही आवाज. आणि परत चालू करायचं. आवाज येत नाही. बरोबर. खाली वर होत आहे ना.
So myself Tushar Gopal Patil from 11th batch 3, and my PPT topic is Indian Constitution. So let's start our PPT. So our first topic is preface. The Indian Constitution is the cornerstone of Indian democracy, shaping the nation as a sovereign, secular, and inclusive republic. So, what is the motive to create this Indian Constitution was that to make the nation sovereign means to make it to create equality and
आवाज
make
कमी.
it a freedom, to create a freedom, and secular and inclusive republic to give a
डबल
right
आवाज येतोय का?
to women equally. So now our Indian Constitution was adopted on November 26, 1949. It reflects the aspiration of a newly independent nation, insu- ensuring justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity for all. Means what our constitution tells us that justice means nyay, liberty what means freedom, equality means samanta, and fraternity means brotherhood. This all these 4 5 factors our constitution show us. So now the constitution was crafted by a Constituent Assembly formed on December 6, 1946 to represent the nation diverse voice. So now the constitution was created by creating a constitution assembly means a group of a people which was formed on December 6, 1946 to represent the nation diverse voice, drawing inspiration from a global framework while addressing India's unique needs. It is the lengthiest and most detailed constitution in world, uniting a vast population and safeguard the rights of every citizen. So our constitution was when we are starting to make our constitution, it was become lengthiest because of a need. When we have become independent, so there were very need to create a rules and regulations in our country. So that's why due to this, our constitution was become a lengthiest. This ebook celebrates 75 years of this remarkable document by presenting 75 facts that illuminate its origin, principle, and ongoing relevance. Each fact offers insight into the legacy of a constitution that continues to guide and inspire the world's largest democracy. This information has given for this book, which I was reading. So let's start. Our next topic is assembly composition. Means the assembly formation. Constitution Assembly was initially composed of 389 members. So I tell you that for making our constitution, we have adopted a constitution assembly which firstly have a 389 members. 279 members were elected through the provisional legislative assembly. So 292 members were elected by elections, and 93 was representing the Indian princely states, mean the kings or leaders which are having a more popularity in that region, also was a member of this constitutional assembly, and the four represent the chief commissioner provinces, and the four people's was chief. So members were chosen by indirect election as per the cabinet mission. Member was chosen by indirect election, means not chosen by people but chosen by a other representative who was elected by people. Now inaugural session. The Constituent Assembly
वाचून वाचून या कार बाय
held its first section on December
काय
9,
दे मग बघू बघा
Assembly held its first section on December 9, 1946 in a Constitution Hall of a Parliament House, now known as a Samvidhan Sadan. So when we started our drafting a constitution, so the Constitution Assembly first section was held on December 9, 1946 in a Constitution Hall where it is happening in Constitution Hall of Parliament House. Now it is known as Samvidhan Sadan. है ना?
तुझं दहा काय लागलं
पप्पा तुमचा माईक आणि कॅमेरा बंद करा. कॅमेरा ऑन आहे तुमचा.
मेरा पास
So we continue our topic. So Dr. Sachidanda Sinha president has the interim president during this inaugural meeting. Means the head of this meeting was Dr. Sachidananda Sinha. On December 11, 1946, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was appointed as the permanent president of Constitution Assembly. Means the assembly formed to make the constitution. The
त्याला
president of
बोलण्याची
that assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, appointed on December 11, 1946. So our next point is post partition changes. The Mountbatten Plan of June 3, 1947 led to creation of separate constitution assembly for Pakistan. So Pakistan also demanded for their different constitution assembly by the Mountbatten Plan, which was exist in June 3, 1947. So representative from some province switched to the part of assembly after participation. Means when our first constitution assembly was formed, some members was migrate to that constitution assembly which was formed by a
आपल्या याला पाहिजे लावायला पाहिजे खायची द्यायची
the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was stand for a seat, but he lost. He was then elected to the assembly from Bengal but lost his seat after the participation. He was again elected by elected to assembly from election of Bengal, but he was lost his seat due to the participation. He has lost his seat due to a constitutional assembly which was demanded by Pakistan. However, Congress party later nominated him Bombay presidency. So after the when the Congress party come in motion, so then he nominated Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar as a uh, he nominated leader in a Bombay presidency. So now out of 299 member of assembly, 299 were elected from 12 Indian province and 70 were nominated from 29 princely states. So when Pakistan has created his own constitutional assembly, so remaining members was distributed as 12 in some members was from 12 Indian provinces and 70 were nominated, means selected from 29 princely states. So our next point is women's pioneers. The Constitution Assembly included 15 women members. So our Constitution Assembly have a 15 women members. Notable women members included Sarojini Naidu, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, and Sujata Kripalani. So this is the name of the women which was elected in Constitution Assembly. This woman advocated for equal rights during a time when the women had limited rights globally. So when where when were our in India is not independent, so women are not getting
याच्यानंतर काहीतरी बोलावं लागतं थोडं
equal
थोडं. ते
rights as
बोलतोय तो.
a men. So this women has demanded for a right for women has which are made for men in a constitutional assembly. So our next topic is first proceeding. On December 9, 1946, the section began with the singing of Vande Mataram.
आता इथे एक्सप्लेन करणार तो
So
वाचून झालं.
on December 9, 1946, our first constitutional assembly meeting was held. So this meeting was started by singing the song the Vande Mataram, symboling India's struggle for freedom, which show the song Vande Mataram shows us India's struggle for freedom and unity. Acharya Kripalani delivered the inaugural address, welcomed the members and emphasizing the importance of unity amidst diversity. The first day concluded with all 27 members present submitting their statement and signing
इथे
the
एक्सप्लेन
register.
करणार.
When our new Constitutional Assembly form of 299 members. So first day the 207 members was present in a Constitutional Assembly and by signing and they signed their register. So our next point is flag adoption. The national flag of India was adopted in its present form on 22 July 1947 by Constitutional Assembly. So our Tiranga was formed or designed on 22 July 1947 by our Constitutional Assembly. It served as the flag of Dominion of India from 15th August 1947 to 26 January 1950 and of the Republic of India. So this flag show our struggle of India for its independence and also give a importance of day 15th August 1947 when we are independent and 26 January 1950. Thus, and the the importance of these colors in our flags are saffron means the orange color shows a strength, white shows us peace, and Ashok Chakra in our flag shows us which known as a Dharma Chakra, and green shows us a fertility and growth means tells about the agriculture. So our next point is transitional assembly. On the night of August 1947, the Constitutional Assembly convene in
याच्यावर
a
नुसतं ऐकू येत आहे.
Constitution
याच्यावर नुसतं
Hall.
बघता येईल ना.
Means on
बघ बघ आवाज येईल का?
August 14, 1997, the Constitution Assembly was organized in our Constitution Hall. The member.
पुढे ते ऍप का?
The assembly transients become the legislative assembly of independent India at midnight. So when this meeting
I
has
have the
have the
meeting ID.
decision taken that the assembly transients to become the means
सत्याऐंशी
our transitional assembly was converted
मी
into a
टाकतो.
legislative assembly. This shift marked the final step of colonial rule and Indian independence. Means this decision was give us a direction to change colonial rules means Gulamika rules in India's independence. Our next point is key communities. Rajendra Prasad chairs several key communities, including those on the rules of procedure, finance and staff, and the national flag. So Rajendra Prasad was a of a constitutional assembly. So he was uh, he was chair of several means he was on the committee, including those on rules. Means he was taking actions on these things which are rules of procedure, steering, finance and staff and national flag. So Aladi Krishna Swami Iyer led the Tridential community while BP Pathabi Sitaramya chaired the house community. Means the work was distributed among the members. K.M. Munshi headed the Order of Business Community and G.V. Maulankar led the community on a function of a Constitution Assembly. Means members of a Constitution Assembly was distributed by a work. One sector was distributed to all members of a Constitution Assembly. So now next point is B.R. Ambedkar visions. The drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So the drafting committee means the committee which was made to form a constitution was chaired by means the lead by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the most important committee of Constitution Assembly, which was the most important committee of Constitution Assembly. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar introduced the final draft of a constitution to the assembly on November 4, 1948 for a first reading. The assembly held a general discussion on a draft for 5 days, concluding on November 9, 1948. So assembly was held as a assembly has done a discussion on a draft means to make a constitution for 5 days, and the final result was come on November 9, 1948. So our constitution was completed on November 9, 1948. Drafting committee. So our next point is drafting committee. The drafting committee was elected on August 29, 1947. So our drafting committee was formed by elections which are held on August 29, 1947. The committee worked for 141 days to prepare the draft constitution. So a committee worked for 141 days to make a draft constitution. Draft constitution initially contained 351 articles and 8 schedules. Before deliberation means today's constitution at first it have a 315 articles and 8 schedules. So next point is draft discussion. The assembly spent 165 days in deliberation on the draft constitution. Means the 165 days the draft community was given to make a draft constitution. Of this 165 days, 114 were specially devoted to discussing the draft constitution. Means out of 165 days, 114 days was devoted to discuss on a draft constitution. So total of 7,635 amendments were proposed to draft constitution. Means our constitution initially have a 7,655 amendments. Means the changes was made in a constitution to make it more significant and important. So our next point is finalized document. Out of 7,635 proposed amendment to the draft constitution, 2,473 were moved for consideration by
मुलगा आहे आपला
the
प्रेझेंटेशन
Constitution Assembly. So from 7,635 amendments, 2,473 was accepted by a Constitution Assembly. Means this amendment was concluded in our constitution, and from that this amendment the changes was made in our constitution. The final constitution included 395 articles divided into 22 parts and 8 schedules. So our final constitution included 395 articles which are divided into 22 parts and 8 schedules. At the time of this its adoption, it was the world lengthiest written constitution. So as I told you that uh, before independence we have a more problem. So that's why the more rules were added in constitution, and due to it our Indian constitution was become a lengthiest in the world. So our next point is final section. The Constitution Assembly held its final meeting on January 24, 1950. So Constitution Assembly was held its meeting on last meeting on January 24, 1950. On this date, 284 members signed the constitution and Jana Gana Mana was officially declared India's national anthem. So on this meeting, out of 299 members, 284 members sign our constitution. And Jana Gana Mana, which are today's national anthem, was declared as the Indian national anthem. During this section, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was named the first president of India. So as we all know that our first president was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, which was formed by this section which are held by Constitutional Assembly. So our next point is constitutional journey. The Constitutional Assembly took 2 years, 11 months, and 17 days to draft Constitution of independent India. So our Constitution takes 2 years, 11 months, and 17 days to fully complete. The Assembly held a total of 11 sections during the drafting. So when our Constitution making is going on, the Assembly was held a total of 11 sections. Over 53,000 visitors observe the constitution deliberation from visitors gallery during this period. So our next point is key date. The constitution of India was adopted on November 26, 1949, and it came into a force means वो उस दिन लागू किया गया January 26, 1950 के दिन. January 26, 1950 is celebrated as a Republic Day, marking the constitution country's transition to a republic. So constitution influenced the Government of India Act of 1935, influenced the federal scheme office of governor and judiciary provision in a Indian constitution. The US constitution inspired fundamental rights, judicial reviews and impeachment procedure for a president. So Irish constitution contributed to directive principles of state policy and method of electing the principal. So the topics like DSP and electing the president was taken from Irish constitution. Gandhian ideals. Gandhian ideals influenced the constitution, aiming to promote cottage industry in rural areas through individual or cooperative effects.
चांगलं काय गुतेली चांगलं बोल
एक्सप्लेन करणं पडते.
हा 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 हा. हे कशावर आलं होतं मग तिथून ना
चालू होती.
So Gandhian ideals. So according to Gandhiji, the industry was influenced in rural areas to give a opportunity of work to all members of rural areas. Provision were made to prohibit the consumption of intoxicant, reflecting Mahatma Gandhi vision. Article 17. So these are the articles which are today's constitution have. Article 17 abolishes untouchability and forbids its practice in any form, making it punishable by law. Article 18 prohibits the conferring of title except for military or academic destinations, ending the feudal system. So next point is handwritten masterpiece. The Constitution of India was handwritten and calligraphic crafted in both English. So our Constitution was written in both and double in English and Hindi, consisting of our Constitution have 90,000 words. Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada undertook the calligraphy of our original English version. So our Constitution design was given by a Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada. He began the calligraphy on November 20, 1949 and completed it by late April 1950 on handmade Melbourne loan paper. So next topic is historical illustration. Nandalal Bose, the celebrated artist from Shantiniketan decorated the calligraphic sheet. His artwork included 22 illustrations in miniature style. The illustration depicted important movement in India history from the Indus Valley civilization. Means the design make on Indian Constitution shows the period of Indus Valley to the freedom movement. So preserving legacy on January 26, 1950, the Parliament Secretariat took over the responsibility of preserving the original constitution. In 1955, the Survey of India, Dehradun, produced 1,000 offset printed copies of original constitution. So in 1955, the Dehradun was made 1,000 offset printed copies of our final constitution. The production of these copies took 12 years of meticulous effort. Means our constitution, means the starting process to ending process take 12 years to complete our whole constitution. So next point is democratic beginning. Indian first general election were held between October 25, 1951 and February 21, 1952. So first Indian general election was held on October 25, 1951 and February 21, 1952.
हाँ ठंडा करना फिर आप ना देखिए तब मुझे आप क्या सुन रहे थे बस